Slurpty diddly derp, my G's. And today I've got a very, very short little tip for mix down and mastering, especially for drum and bass, but all electronic music if you want. And I know a lot of subscribers on here have emailed me and asked me for mastering, and I've mastered a lot of your tracks myself, and I'm very, very grateful for all of your business. However, I wanted to give a little tip today on how you can even improve your pre-master a little bit before you send it to me or before you send it to someone else or before you master it yourself. Either way, this is a little stem like mastering tip that sometimes helps. It's not all. It's well, most of the time it's probably going to help, like 90% of the time, because I was actually. This is a track that I'm actually releasing next week, and I didn't want to give it away before the release date, but I just wanted to use it to demonstrate the concept. And I'll only play like a brief second of it, so you don't really hear the track so much, you know. But I was like, the track was already scheduled to be released, but I knew that I wasn't like completely happy with the master yet. And the thing was, it was such a difficult track to even get to this point where I'd previously got it to. It took me ages of like tweaking the mix down because the dynamics of the track were just very different to what I usually make. So it was just a bit of a strange track to mix. And yeah, I was kind of like 90% happy with it, but wasn't like really 99% happy with it. And I was just having a little nature walk in the forest and near where I live, and then I just had an idea, and I was like, oh, there's another little technique that I haven't tried yet, which I could quickly do, and it might actually improve the master. And so I did it, and it definitely helped. It helped a lot for this track, but it's not going to necessarily always work for your track as well. But basically, here is the concept, right? When you've like kind of got everything done, you can bounce out some stems, like even just three or four. Basically, you could just bounce out like the drums, the bass, and everything else, like three kind of stems. That's kind of what I've done here. So the concept is with regards to mid-side EQing certain whole groups properly, okay? Because well, you should know that you should cut out the sides with a mid-side EQ on your and on any kind of sound that has like loads of stereo in the low frequencies, like sort of below 80 or something, because in real life a sub like or a speaker can't really create a clear stereo image in this kind of area. So if you remove those stereo frequencies, you free up a lot of space and headroom in the track, and it always helps, like in general, on the master. But what you can notice sometimes is you might want to take out a little bit more side information on, for example, your drums, or you might want to take out a bit more on your bass. You might want to go up a bit higher with your stereo, with your side cut. And what I like to do often, and you don't have to do it this way around, but I quite enjoy when the bass feels like really quite nice and wide in the low end. And when I talk about the low end, I'm talking about from like 100 hertz up to 300, like this kind of low mid-range area. I quite like it when the bass is like quite stereo there, because it has like then a really nice immersive feeling and like warmth to the sound essentially. And so when I've like kind of got the mix down to its final point and I've sort of done everything I can, what I can do, and what I did in this case, which helped a lot, was bounce out the track in stems, drums, bass, everything else, and then do another side cut on each of the individual stems to a varying degree, depending on what I want for the mix. So here for the drums, I decided that the mix was kind of missing a little bit. It was like I didn't quite have enough bass power in the track, and the drums were a bit too taking too much space, So what I ended up doing in this part was basically basically taking the side cut up on the drum, on the whole drum group, up to like almost 300 hertz, to basically free up a lot of extra stereo room for the bass to have more impact and power from like 100 to 300, you know. And so I didn't actually put a mid-side EQ on the bass in this one. I just cut the sides on the drum channel, because I make all of my drums in stereo always, you know, like all of the good kicks and snare samples that I've got, you know, they're in stereo, so the whole drum group is a stereo thing, you know. But by making it a little bit more mono in the low end when needed, just kind of like listening to how much you free up space in the bass while you do it, that will help you a lot, because you know, you want to make your drums in stereo, you want them to have a nice character to them, but if you want to have that extra space carved out so that your bass can feel a bit like wider and have a bit more breathing space in the stereo in the low end, then that's sometimes a great thing to do, is just put a mid side on your drums and bring them up a little bit higher. And like I mentioned before, it kind of depends on what track you're working with, and it's something that you have to like conceptually think about, like what do you want to give emphasis to in the stereo field, and like what do you want to have, what should be a little bit more narrow and what should be a bit wider in what like area of the frequency spectrum. And this is just a thing that I did on this track, which like took me from feeling like the mixdown wasn't good enough to freeing up loads more room so I could push the bass harder in the end, you know. So I was able to take out a bit of stereo on the drums, up to like 300 or so I could get that extra like space to put for the stereo part of the bass. So the whole bass file, I could kind of push it harder. So I ended up sort of actually turning up then my bass like 2 dB. So I actually after doing that cut, I freed up so much space that I was able to boost the bass like 2 whole dB, and it just made the track from feeling like it had not enough sub to just having like more than enough, you know. And that was pretty much, I was only able to achieve that in the mixdown because I did a side cut on the drum bus. So it's just something that to always think about. Be conscious of how much stereo you're putting into which parts of your low end, and sometimes it can be the other way around. It doesn't have to be this way around. In drum and bass, it tends to be the formula that works best for me is when if I want to sacrifice a bit of low end stereo from something, I'll probably sacrifice it a little bit in the drums so I can have the bass kind of sitting around the drums a bit more, so the bass is kind of wider and a bit more enveloping, you know. But that's just a little mixing and mastering kind of tip which you can apply to your own pre-masters. So finish your composition, bounce out the key groups and stems, and then do a little check on, you know, the drum channel and the bass channel, and maybe the lead or FX channel as well. Like do a side cut on all of them and see where you want that cut to sit, and think about which of the particular stems you want to give a bit more space in the stereo to, and cut a little bit higher on the other ones. So yeah, that helps me a lot to get like a final little bit of breathing space in the whole mixdown, so I can then push things even harder because it will clear up a little bit of headroom so you can push stuff a bit more. All right, that's my little mixing and mastering tip for you guys today. As always, if you do want me to personally master your tracks, I can do stem mastering or just normal mastering. Once you've got your pre-master how you want it, just email me at info@artifactmusic.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out. Much love.